Hello folks, and welcome to another spotlight video for the Elder Scrolls Legends and the remnants who continue to play it. And today we've got a name that many of you are probably familiar with, although you may not have heard it in its different iterations, different times. He goes by many names to many different people, but certainly very part of the vibrant community here. You may know him as primarily as either Joseph or CcityT0ker. At different points there was different usernames, but I believe that is the one that most of you will be familiar with. A fantastic player, has the ability to climb, has the ability to play the game at a very high level, but chooses oftentimes to play decks that are a little bit off meta, a little bit off what the norm is, just because he enjoys the heck out of playing, and he's a great deck builder, so I'm looking forward to what he's got for us here. So shall we call you Joseph, CcityT0ker, or something else? Joseph, what would you prefer?
Yeah, Joe's fine. Yeah, Complete Idiot is my other username, but
that's right.
Yeah, that's probably not the best thing to be called on a video that's supposed to be celebrating my, my Tesla accomplishments. Look at this Complete Idiot.
Well, that's that extra bit of humility there. That's what that is.
Yeah, very much
so what deck are we going to kick off with?
I'm just gonna start with Last Gasp because this is like my favorite deck ever.
Okay.
I love this deck because the reason I like this deck so much is because it's very flexible in the sense that it can play aggro, control, or mid, or combo, really. Not really control. It can play aggro, mid, or combo depending on kind of the matchup.
Okay. So very versatile then. Like you're not there's. So what do you think there is a deck that it's particularly weak against, or is it just it has a fair chance against pretty much everything?
Yeah, I think it's got decent matchups against everything. If you go up against a control deck, you can kind of just hold your hand back and wait to combo off. If you go against like a tempo deck, you can sometimes just out tempo them with, I got like Black Hand Messenger in here. There's a lot of ways for me to flood the board with this deck, so I can flip the board really fast, like kind of on a. Hopefully we'll like Wismother. That's a perfect example of a card deck I can flip the board with. So if I play like a mid-range deck and I just trade evenly for the first like 8 turns, I can then flip the board with Wismother and Necron Mastermind and just put him in a bad spot.
Okay.
I find that to be extremely fun.
Now, just out of curiosity, like personal curiosity, how do you ensure, or not ensure, but how do you play it so that you have all those pieces? Because when I see decks like this go off, like it's like if I were to try to play it, I never have I only have like 2 of the cards that I actually need to do it. So you're just gonna you're gonna stockpile all the trigger cards, or how do you balance that with trying to survive?
Yeah, with this one, there's a couple of like significant combo cards, mostly Balmor Spymaster. You want to keep that in your hand when you draw it sometimes. Because that's like the main combo, but it depends on the matchup. Like this matchup right here, this seems to be like more of a mid-range probably.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm probably just gonna look to trade evenly and then flip board whenever I have all the pieces in hand.
Okay.
Here I'm gonna play the Rimmen Purveyor because this is like kind of what the deck's built around. You eat the Dark Elves, and as you get discounts, it becomes easier and easier to play Necron Mastermind combos directly from the hand. And since it's from the hand, they can't interact with it. Which is,
right.
Yeah. So, my hand right now actually isn't very good, but hopefully we can find something with this Shadow Shift.
There we go.
So, do I want to hold this for the Wismother? See, I feel like I'm not going to be able to get Wismother down until turn 9. Just because he's going to jab. If I play it on 7, he's going to jab it.
Right.
So, I'm just going to play the Thieves Guild out right here. Hope to pick something up. Right now, what I'm looking for is just Clips Baroness is probably my best draw at this point, just because it draws 2 cards and discounts them, but we'll see if I get it.
Now you had mentioned, I believe, at the outset, you talked about like, well, you played in a lot of the tournaments. There was was it the latest one that was this the deck that you took the tournament with, the most recent tournament with?
No, well, I was involved in one here recently, but no, I didn't win that one. But I did win one of Night Dark Wolf's summer tournaments, and the qualifier I won with this deck.
Okay.
Okay, this hand is not good. I think I'm just gonna pass here. Hopefully he'll give me a card, give me break a rune, and then hopefully I can do something on a future turn. Because right now I just can't do anything. Like I could have played the Kinsman, but I don't see. Okay, yeah, he's slow rolling. All right, so this is great. So you see, I got the 0 cost, and now I can combo this with the Wisp Mother and draw 2 cards. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, where I can just flip board very fast, very quickly, and you know, this is nothing but compared to what this deck is capable of. And there's the Necroms. If this Wisp Mother survives, I can hit the Fleeting Apparition into the Necrom Mastermind, which will be a huge swing. But I really, really doubt that this Wisp Mother lives.
Yeah, when they got that many cards. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, queuing in the Mage is kind of unfortunate, but I should be able to. Maybe we can make something happen. But yeah, he's hovering. He looks like he wants to jab it so bad. If he doesn't, though, yeah, there it is.
And of course, it was with the top deck too. That was the last card he pulled.
Oh, you know, it's classic Tessel.
Right? Yeah, unfortunately, yes.
Alright, so what do I want to do? I've got some good pieces in my hand. I think I'm just gonna do the Fleeting Apparition here.
Okay.
Just hope to draw more. One issue with this card is, even though my cards are discounted in my deck, they won't actually be discounted when they come back to my hand. But it's still a good draw tool.
Oh, right. Well, especially like you were saying with the Wisp Mother, pretty much anything. Well, wait. So how does that work with Wisp Mother?
It's mostly the Ribbon Purveyor.
Okay.
See, I got the Ribbon Purveyor, so all my 3 costs are now 2 costs, and you know all my 4. So now I can pull more cards from the Apparition.
Gotcha.
What do I want to do here? Like, I think I want to play this Deshaun Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
And then just do the Apparition.
My sword hand itches.
And I just want to, just as a PSA and a measure of appreciation, thank you for premiumizing your deck. It is so much fun to watch the shiny versions on the board here.
Yeah, well, luckily it didn't take me that long because I was already so I already had made so much progress over the years.
Wait, didn't you say?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, so whenever we got the news and everything became basically free, it didn't take me long to just go through my collection and premium everything out because I was already so far along anyway.
Right.
Which is probably why, you know, I was more willing to do it than maybe some others, because I could imagine it being pretty frustrating if you had to go through the whole collection.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just the like say, okay, these are the top 5 decks that I play. Let me just go through and make the changeover. But
right.
You know, but yeah, I think you had mentioned that because we were talking about like how many people had a full premium deck. I think K Fluffy was the only one we knew, but you said I think you only had a few legendary core cards left, right? Was that what you're waiting on in terms of having a full premium collection?
No, that was just to finish the core collection.
Oh, okay.
But I was still getting pretty close. I probably would have had it within before the end of 2025 for sure.
Oh wow, okay.
Assuming I kept the same pace on the gauntlets, because these last few months I've kind of been playing a lot less. The news, I mean, it sucks, but I had already kind of taken a step back from Tesla anyway, just a little bit.
Right.
So. But yeah, you see the Baronet. This is why it's so important, because I was able to get this Abner discount, and now if he swings into it, I just get more pieces. And you see, I'm starting to build up a hand here where I can just get a lot of value.
Yeah.
Now obviously he's probably gonna have Dawn's Wrath and just ruin my day, but I think I'm just gonna go for it anyway, just for the camera's sake. So next turn, I'm gonna do a Necrom, and then I may even Darker Birth. But I also have the Abner, so we'll see.
Holding on to anything interesting?
But I'm about to show you how fast this deck can just like. It's almost like a conscription. Like I call it Mastermind Conscription because you know, his voice line, they won't be expecting this. It's true. He's not gonna see this coming. Like this board is about to be flooded, and I'm about to be drawing a bunch of cards. I love this deck. It's so much fun to play.
So I guess by the way you were drawing earlier, like right now, again, your opponent seems to be more of a control, mid-range control, if nothing else. So had this been against an aggro deck, would it have been? I'm guessing. You think by the way you were drawing, it was a little bit slower in the middle. You think it would have been a harder win, or do you think that you had the resources there to pull that off as well?
Against aggro, it really depends. You know, I have some cards that are really good against aggro, like Ice Storm, Cruel Fire Bloom. Oh, there's the Ice Storm right there. Look, I summoned it from the deck.
You did just by speaking.
I have like Black Hand Messenger, so it kind of depends on what part of the deck that I draw. But yeah, this deck can match up into a lot of things, which I think is great. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna hit him with the Necrom now. It's a little risky because he probably has like removal. You know, everybody in this game just runs a ton of removal, but we don't have all day here, so I'm just gonna do this, and we're gonna hit him with the Necrom. Okay, that's not that good. Dark Fireball, Master of Thieves. All right, everyone's favorite.
Right, he's a troublesome bastard.
And then I'm just going to go ahead and Darker Birth. You see, look at all this value. I drew 2 cards off this. I dealt 6 damage. I summoned 2 cards from the Spy Master, even though I low rolled. And then I'll go ahead and ring out this Purveyor too, because why not? More discounts, more fun. That's the way I see it. just get them discounts going.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of. I mean, I've seen Last Gasp. Oh yeah, there you go. Jeez. Well, that's a great thing about having a Last Gasp deck.
Yeah, you're not as susceptible to Ice Storm. It's really great. Of course, he has double Ice Storm, because why wouldn't he? This is Elder Scrolls Legends, after all.
Right.
Draw. There's another Baroness. This is the key card. This is what I was.
My time is precious.
Apparition's good. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna blink the Baroness. And I'm gonna hold. Do I want to hold the Kinsman? You see, because Fleeting Apparition at this point, because I have 2 discounts, can actually pull Necrom Mastermind from the deck. So with that in mind, I'm gonna hold the Kinsman in hand just for 1 turn.
Oh, we're playing both at the same time?
Yeah, just because there's a possibility that I can tutor the Mastermind straight from deck, so I might be able to get some value straight from the Apparition. We'll see though. Like I said, this guy is just on a removal heavy deck, so his whole goal is to just remove everything, and you know how it is.
Oh yeah, I do. Which is probably, to your point, why you started pulling away from Tesla a little bit even before the announcement was made.
All right, so I think I have lethal. Yeah, I have lethal here easily. So I just swing with this. Then I hit him with a Cruel Fire Bloom. I'm probably gonna Fleeting Apparition anyway. It's BM, but whatever. It's for a video, so who cares? I'm gonna play the Kinsman, the Mastermind, Messenger, and you see I played 3 cards. And I still have 11 mana. So.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Let's see if I can hit this Mastermind. That would be awesome. I'm just gonna sacrifice this. Give me another chance at it.
I will not waste words on myself.
Nope, did not draw it. Alright, so yeah, now I just Cruel Fire Bloom this, deal 3, and that's my face, so. There you go, undefeated with Necrom Assassin, alright. Go ahead and retire that for this video. I was able to get a good game with it.
Yeah, it was like the perfect, it wasn't, because there's some games like I've done where like, you're guaranteed to win. It's a matter of like your opponent just, running out of cards or something. But that was actually one that your opponent was. If you had a different deck that didn't have that combo ability or the draw ability, you could have starved out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. For sure. There's a lot of draw in that deck, which, keeps it. I kind of got lucky. I drew all three of my Baroness. Baroness is kind of like a key card in the deck just to keep it, going, but, whatever. I've always been lucky, so.
Oh, I know. Heart of the Cards, which is I believe. Well, let's go ahead and we'll talk about that in a little. We'll talk about that in a second. Do you want to run the same deck to give another example of it in motion, or did you want to try to transition to something else? I'm good either way.
I guess I'll try this one. This is a treasure hunt deck, so this one might take a little bit longer to get going. It's not as consistent because it's treasure hunt, but with the right draw, anything's possible. Plus, right now on the ladder, there seems to be a lot of like greedy players, or it seems like a lot of the tryhards are kind of like I guess they quit with the news because a lot of the games I get on ladder now are like 100 card Empire and things like that, and of course Telvanni. Oh god, Telvanni's probably the class I wanted to see the least playing this deck, but it's 100 card Telvanni though, so
well,
we got a chance.
I mean, to be fair, I think Telvanni is one of the last type of decks anybody wants to see ever. So it's
but this isn't the Telvanni. This is 100 cards, so it's not the. I mean, I'm sure he's got a lot of the same cards, but it's not going to draw with as much consistency. So hopefully, I'll have a chance to do something here.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're already procking treasure map. Oh, look at that! See, I'm out here high rolling. All right, so here I'm gonna take the invasion party because it's gonna give me another proc on this. So now all I have to do is play the treasure map, and she's ready to go. And this will tutor. Hopefully, it doesn't remove it. This will either tutor the Skooma Cat Whimsy, which is what I hope I draw, or the Mirror Shrine from my deck, because it's gonna grab a support. So here we go, treasure map. That's how easy it is. Turn 3, 7, 8.
Jeez Louise.
Fair and balanced. Go ahead and trade though.
Well, come on. To be fair, I very rarely see anybody play. And the great thing is that makes you immune to Viper. Okay, but not that.
Yeah, of course he had the answer, but that's okay. We got off to a good start. Even if I lose this game, I did some cool stuff. So, let's see. Here I'm just gonna go ahead and blacksmith. This is a really good card for a treasure map because it allows me to go into my deck and just take a treasure map straight from the deck. It's kind of useless right now though. I'm gonna grab it anyway. Oh, yeah. And next turn I can play Skooma Cat Whimsy and Voice of Balance, who will be an 8/8 after I play the Whimsy. So.
Oh jeez. I mean, Voice of Balance, I think it got played. People were trying to find ways to use it when it first came out with like a lot of cards, and then you almost never see it again.
Wait, am I tripping? Action, item, and support. Did I not play an item?
No.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I can just play an item now, and that'll. Okay, now it's proc. Here we go. All right. Yeah, this is the kind of look at all this synergy in this deck. This isn't some sweaty. And it works. I mean, I might still lose, but I don't know. I got very frustrated with players who would just play kind of like the same stuff. The thing with Tessel, and this, you started playing Magic the Gathering, and this is what you're gonna notice, like the legendary cards in Magic the Gathering, just kind of throw them into. You can't just take a bunch of legendary cards and throw them into a deck. You have to put cards that support them into the deck. One of my main criticisms of this game is that you can just kind of put a bunch of legendaries into a deck. They're gonna be good. Synergy doesn't matter. Just put good cards and you're good. But yeah, you won't see that in Magic because the game, the way they designed it is that you have to put cards that support. Okay, how many did I play? I played 2 cards. I need to play 4 cards to proc this.
Oh, that's right. After the nerf, it used to be 3, right?
Yeah, it's still a pretty good card, though. I mean, people will tell you, "Oh, that card's unplayable garbage." Man, I don't listen to them. I don't. You see that? It's turn 6, and I already got a trigger, and next turn I'll be able to trigger it again easily with the Reclaimer. So that's why I don't listen to people in this game.
Right. I remember when was it Journey to Sovngarde got nerfed? It was like there were a lot of people, like a lot of content providers were actually going, "Oh, it's now unplayable. It's absolutely garbage." All this, this whole thing, and so a lot of people, and myself included, were like, they were like, "Just go ahead and dust it because it's not even worth anything anymore." And then somebody came along and was like, "Actually, like kind of what you said. Okay, yeah, it's not bonkers anymore, but it's still pretty darn good."
Yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, this card's not like you could put Namir's Shrine into a Telvanni control deck and it would do really well. I've done it, but nobody, everyone puts the altar. You could put Namir's Shrine into Telvanni and do okay with it.
Oh yeah, well with the way they card draw anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah, it's not hard for a Telvanni deck to play 4 cards in a turn. They, every card they have is, or most cards they have is 2 or less.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I'm cooking this guy right now with it. I've already drawn 2. I'm easily going to proc it again. So yeah, I mean, this kind of... I don't know. I feel like at some point in Tessel's lifespan, somebody made a bunch of, rules to live by. Like, you have to put these cards. These cards are unplayable. I don't listen to any of that because... I feel like those people don't know what they're talking about. I've gotten so much value out of these cards, Alright, so how many cards have I played? I've played just 1, so I need to play 3 more cards here. So, I'm going to go ahead and Grand Ball, which is going to prevent his Defiler. That's
Right.
2,
Behold,
3,
my magnificent monster.
and 4, I guess. That works for me. And I'll draw another card. That's 3 in a row. They say this card's unplayable.
But you're playing it.
Yeah. I've procced it 3 turns in a row in my hand. Look at I can still proc it again next turn.
Oh yeah, you got a ton of stuff.
But
Well,
see, that's what. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, that's why I love cards like this, because you have to build around them. You can't put Namir's Shrine in any deck and expect it to work. This deck right here is designed to get value out of it. And people who say, "Oh, it's unplayable," I feel like they're not trying. It's not unplayable. You're just not giving it your best effort. You're just net decking basically, which is fine, but don't tell me that it's unplayable if you're net decking.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me see. So 7, 8, 9. I've got lethal here. So yeah, undefeated. I'm just smacking around everybody with memes today, and I could have, I would have procced the shrine again on this turn. So, bam.
Well, there's that saying that I've been hearing more and more now. It's if you've been living in a privileged way, being treated or having things go, like being back to normal, feels like a downgrade. So it's if you've been playing a card that is overstat, like legitimately and objectively overstated, overpowered, and you've been enjoying being able to abuse that, when it gets nerfed, quote unquote, down to a level that it probably should be at to be commensurate with every other card in the game or thereabouts, it feels like you're getting, like you said, the card is no longer valuable, but it absolutely is. It's just not as broken as it was before the nerf.
Yeah, before you could just put it in any deck really, and you could easily it pretty much went into every control deck as a 3-of, and it was such an easy way for control decks to draw cards.
Right.
So that's why they nerfed it, because it was getting to the point where it was just going into everything, and then they nerfed it, and people were just like, "Oh, it's not good anymore." It is. You just have to think outside the box a little bit. I mean, you can put that card in all sorts of archetypes. You can put it in Doomcrag. We've seen Night Dark Wolf do that. You can put it in the Casino Battle Mage things I just did. I don't know. It's still early, so I can't. But there's all sorts of stuff you can use it with, and I don't know. I feel like people got very much in their comfort zone in this game, and I feel like not a lot of players are willing to kind of think outside the box. They just kind of play the same stuff.
Yeah.
Which is why I'm curious to see how their skills in Tessel will translate to other games, because, like I said, in other seasons, you can't just stick a bunch of value cards in your deck and expect it to work. Like, it might have synergy. So hopefully it'll work out for them, but it's definitely a little more complicated. I'm not trying to like toot my own horn, but I've been good at card games since like I was a kid. I used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day on this website called Yu-Gi-Oh Virtual Desktop, which was basically like a peer-to-peer connection website
Mm-hmm.
where you would swap IP addresses with somebody and you would be able to play and have full collection and stuff.
Oh,
And I
nice.
remember it was like the first time I got like reassurance that I'm a good player is I made like this chaos control relinquish deck, and like 3 months later it won Japan World's Championships. Now it wasn't my exact build. They added the Tuska Yomi or whatever, which anyone who's played Yu-Gi-Oh knows what I'm talking. It's like a spirit creature,
Okay.
and it made the deck a lot more broken than normal. But still, like the fact that I had the set, I identified a strong archetype at the age of like I was like 10 years old
Oh my
and was
gosh.
able to build it. And then it winning world championship like a few months later. I was like, okay, well, it wasn't the exact build I made, but the world champ had the same ideas I did. Relinquish chaos control. So
Wow. Holy what? Which is perfect because I was going to ask you like what because I knew you were a Yu-Gi-Oh player because you talked about like card to cards, and everything. So I was wondering just how far back it went prior to Tesla and what had brought you into Tesla and what you're looking at post Tesla. I mean, I know the answers, at least part of them to some of these, but as part of the spotlight, like what got you? I mean, not took you from Yu-Gi-Oh. 'Cause I don't know if you still play that. Like, what CCGs do you play? Obviously, we know you've been going since you're 10. What got you into Tesla, and then what are you looking at afterwards?
well, yeah, I started with Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I took a very long break off of it. Once I got into like my teenage years. Well, no, I take it back. I started with Yu-Gi-Oh, and then I quit Yu-Gi-Oh at I don't know some age. I really can't remember. And some years went by, and then I had a girlfriend who played Magic the Gathering, so she would let me play with. We'd all play together, and I would just use her cards. I didn't have any of my own, so that's when I first started playing Magic. Is with her, she would let me use her cards, which was very nice.
That's what couples are for. Let them use your card collection.
Yeah, of course. So I played that with her for a little while, and then I joined the Navy. And when I joined the Navy, I quit playing card games completely. Like I just did not concern myself with it. When I got out of the Navy, I seen an ad on my phone. Yeah, I know an ad for Tesla. Everyone says they didn't exist, but yeah, I seen an ad on my phone, and I was like, I'll try that. That looks cool. And I'm starting to see what people are talking about, how it's hard to play and talk at the same time.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You can focus on the game and then switch over when you need to. It is very difficult. I'm surprised the amount of people do it that on the spotlights that I've had, the amount of people that are able to win games and talk. Because I mean, you've seen me. I can't really do both, so it's double whammy.
But yeah, and then I just started playing Tesla, and I got hooked really fast, and I was pretty good at it just from the start. Like, I remember the first deck I made was like a assassin deck. I put like what's that guy, Breton Conjurer. But I used to never reward the Conjurer because I didn't know any better. I would always reward the Atronach because in my mind it was like, well, that makes sense. You're getting 5/5 twice, right?
Right.
And I remember back then I used to think Odaving was the most broken card ever. I just hated Odaving because I'd get blown out by it so much.
Yep. So let me ask you real quick. Were there no cards like that in Yu-Gi-Oh? Is Yu-Gi-Oh a little more moderate in terms of like it doesn't have a full board clear card like an Odaving? Because it seems like that took you kind of by surprise.
Well, removal in modern Yu-Gi-Oh is no, there's a lot of broken cards in Yu-Gi-Oh. Even when I was playing, I talked about that deck, that relinquish control deck. The whole thing that deck is built around is nothing but broken cards. So there's this one card they made. It's like this little crow called Yada Garasu. and when it attacks, your opponent they can't draw cards anymore. So you can soft lock your opponent. Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, the way removal works is you have to go through like this huge convoluted combo and set up like disruption with your creatures. That's just, I don't really like Yu-Gi-Oh! It's a lot of memorization and kind of going through the same steps over and over. So yeah, you kind of just do the same. There's cards in your deck that if you draw it will basically enable your whole deck to combo off. So if you draw that card, then you do that combo, and it's just like repetition. I don't think that's very fun, but
right.
Some people like it. But I done lost my train of thought. What were we talking about?
Well, I derailed you a little bit. I was asking because you were talking when you first started playing like how broken Odoving felt, and I'm trying to remember the other one. And then I'd asked you, if those cards were not a thing so much in. Oh no, and you talked about rewarding the Atronach instead of the Breton Conjurer. Just some of the. But you were good at the game to begin with. Like you were having good games with it.
Yeah, I had I've always been above 50% win rate. At the very least. But yeah, in the early days, at some point in time, I started watching YouTube videos. Started with Justin Larson.
Yeah.
But, obviously, he wasn't, the most competitive player. I mean, I loved watching his videos, but eventually I found my way to... If I draw a Sparksmith here, I'll probably win. But eventually I drew... I got to CVH's channel. And I started, and he posted like an Unstoppable Rage Archer deck, and that was the first net deck I ever made in this game. That maybe I should have done this earlier. I don't know. I feel like I misplayed this game. You're distracting me.
I was gonna say it's honestly like it does. It puts you in a little bit of a haze, especially if you're focused on the talking part of it. Like you can be saying exactly what you want, and then you realize, oh crap, I'm kind of like autopiloting, and I can't do that because I need to actually be using.
Well, he did high roll some RNG stuff too, though. Like he hit 2 legendary creatures off of RNG effects, so I probably won't gonna lose in this game anyway. But this is like a Sparksmith combo. Basically, you get the Corsair ship out, and then you play the Skooma Cats. Oh my god! You play the Gardener of Swords with his pants, then you can telekinesis and just deal a ton of damage.
Ah, yeah. Well, you can run that one back.
I remember the other day when we were doing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say you can run that one back if you want. That's the first one that didn't go off. So if you want to try it again, great. But
hey, remember the other day when we were doing the little tribal decks, and I ran the Red Guard one.
Yep.
I went off with the Sparksmith. Well, in that situation, if you replace the training grounds I had on the game. If you replace those with Corsair ships, that would have been a lot of daggers, and then at that point, you're doing way more damage. And I already did a lot of damage with the Sparksmith, but you can imagine how that would go off.
Oh yeah.
Okay, we were against Guildsworn, which is one of my least favorite classes. I'm not gonna lie. Guildsworn to me, this represents so much bad things.
It does, but it also is the Joe Knows Dragons Guildsworn deck that we had some really good success with.
Yeah, that deck is sick. I love Guildsworn Dragons. I love expertise. I feel like I guess Guildsworn's kind of like good and bad.
Yeah.
It's very because you have the invade, and you have like the Alfie Conjurer just stick a bunch of big creatures in my deck. Like that's annoying, but I find the dragon deck to be really fun. I'm not good at playing against it. This is probably the deck, Guildsworn Dragons, that beats me more than anything else. It's so hard to beat this deck because it has a lot of prophecies and it has a lot of ways to disrupt you, and it's and it can just stick out gigantic creatures. And I don't always run a lot of removal because I'm a noob. So right. I'm more focused on doing stupid things rather than winning a lot of the time. So this deck can be a real problem for me. This is like my bugaboo right here. Hopefully I can get some. I got the Corsair ship down early, so this is good. If I get the Gardener with the pants, with the Sparksmith, with the telekinesis, he's pretty much dead.
Hey,
Like-
what? 50 cards, so you have a much higher likelihood of getting
Yeah.
This
pulling
is going
those
to
than
be
people who are
messy.
running similar complex combos but with 75 cards.
And at least I have the Thief out too, which is gonna help me thin my deck. But it looks like he's gonna remove it next turn because he's got that tome in hand, so that kind of sucks. All right, so I have to clear this because this is going to be an issue. There's telekinesis. Look at that. We're hitting on all cylinders. All right, I'm just gonna draw here. I probably should trade, but we ain't got time for that. I really do not want to lose this Thief, so I'm gonna shackle this because I need to draw through my deck at this point. And I cannot deal with this cliffside lookout. This thing is way out of range for me. I'm never gonna be able to get that off the board, so I'm not even gonna try. I'm just gonna go into field lane and just, this is my lane, that's your lane. Don't cross the line. You know, we're just gonna play that.
That's one of the most frustrating things about playing agility, because I do that exact same thing. I'm like, all right, you stay in your lane, let's race, we'll see how it goes. And then they shadow shift over to my lane. It's like, get out of my lane, you turd muffin. I'm leaving you alone.
Yeah, that's not fair. Like, what the heck? Okay, I have no draw cards in my hand, so again, we're gonna have to use this Thief. And I'm gonna have to trade here because I have to keep this Thief on the board. It's keeping me alive right now. Well, not really, but it's keeping my deck flowing.
Right.
Which is what I need, because I'm looking for combo pieces. I hate to get rid of a Master of Arms, but I think I have to. I should get rid of a dagger, actually. That was a mistake.
That was one of the hardest concepts for me to get my brain around with Legends, and I guess it's going to be true for Magic and any other game, but the idea that you want to burn through cards in your deck, especially if you don't have like a, you're not doing like a regurgitation deck where you're bringing stuff back from the dead. Like, there's actually a point to getting through. I'm like, why would you put a card in there if you just want to mill through it? It's like, well, no, it may be a piece, it may be something useful, but in order to, especially if you're doing a combo deck, that you want to be able to sift through the cards as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Deck thinning is a big deal in card games for sure, because it allows you to get to your more significant draws. Like here, let me see. I have 30, so I've drawn 14 cards in my deck, but unfortunately, I'm not too far off though. I just need the Sparksmith, the Gardener, and one Pants, and I pretty much win. Because these Corsair ships are so big.
Oh yeah, jeez.
I guess I'm gonna go ahead and try to. I have to go Shadow here because if I put it in the field, he's obviously just gonna get good value with that.
Yeah.
I'm really not trying to aggro him down here though. I think in this game I've already lost the board, and I'm not gonna win the board back at any point. So in this game, I'm gonna be looking to combo. So I need to keep the Blacksmith in hand because it makes it just a little bit easier to combo off. Because it makes the Pants a little bit cheaper.
Right. Yeah, expensive Pants
Yeah,
are a problem.
But yeah, this is what I was talking about with this deck. This deck is really hard. Oh, there's the Pants. So now I'm just missing two cards. Really? Even if I don't get to go, if I just got the Blacksmith or whatever, the Sparksmith, I might be okay. Unfortunately, I don't have any like significant items in my thing. I just got the Mace, which I guess the Mace is good. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this.
This might do in a pinch.
Well, yeah, because he's not your combo. For a lot of decks like this, but he is kind of the linchpin. Like, you want to do that, then you do the Dova, or what, the Mask.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Master Arms in this one, he is a linchpin, but no, he's not the linchpin. This, the linchpin is Sparksmith. But
right.
The Master Arms definitely helps, again, with deck thinning. Oh, there's the Gardener. We're just missing one piece. If I top deck Sparksmith, I win, I think. I would have 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, no, I wouldn't have enough magic on, actually. But okay, cool. So I might have to play this Gardener out early, which I really don't want to, but he's kind of forcing my hand here. So we're just gonna go ahead. I'm a Gardener. I'm gonna harpy this just to keep them off my face. And then I'm gonna play the pants into you. And you see, look at all these daggers I'm about to get. And this is where the telekinesis.
Yeah.
Like, if I had the Sparksmith on board right now, I'd be dealing a ton of damage. But if this Gardener survives, I can telekinesis, and this will be a very big guy.
It's beautiful.
Do I want to put damage in? I risk a prophecy, but I think I do want to get some chip damage in as much as possible, just because I'm trying to close this out. And I really don't expect this Gardener to live. It would, you know, in Magical Fantasyland, as Justin would say, you know, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, barring a rage. Okay, well, that's still not good.
Yeah, he's got removal. But I can still do a ton of damage with this telekinesis. Like, if anything lives here, I am going to smack him hard. Because I can play double dagger into a triple dagger into telekinesis, which is... I'm not going to do the math. I mean, that's just... No, I'm dead. He's going to kill me before I do this, probably.
Or
yeah, he's
really
got
any number of things with Tiny Dargan. Oh, no, wait, is he?
Is he trading? Oh. Well, maybe. Okay. So if he can't defend himself, I can kill him here. No, he's okay. Yeah, a unique legendary. Yeah, 2 unique. Yeah, that's the way Tessel is. You know, it's a unique legendary deck card.
See, and that's what, because I remember we've talked about, like, you know, games beyond Tesla, and you were talking about Magic the Gathering having, or Arena having an algorithm or something that does, like, intentionally affect your draws and things. It's not just a pure RNG. But I gotta say, right, I would not be surprised if there is a similar mechanic somewhat buried in the code of Tessel, because it just those kinds of things.
Red Brahmin's always on turn 9,
right?
Guaranteed. And I don't know. I feel like most games I lose in this game, it's to like a unique legendary. You know, I don't know. It's okay, but I feel like it's always somebody top decking a unique legendary or something like that and winning. And that's kind of what I was talking about with the deck building with Tessel. You know, you don't have to worry about synergy in this game. You just throw cards into a deck. Oh, they're all strong by themselves. So if you put them together, they'll be strong together. And I kind of it sucks that the game went in that direction, because it wasn't always like that in the beginning. If you look at some of the core set cards, here the Breton Conjurer is a perfect example. It's got a really strong effect, but it's extremely understated. Right. If you compare that to some of the Sparky Pants cards with extremely strong effects, like Discerning Thief, for example, super strong effect, but it's a 3/4. It's, you know, it's got better stats than everything else at its casting cost, and the best effect. And then you have like Ayleid Guardian, you know, 8/8.
Training is over. It's time to act.
And or 16/16. It's like, I don't know. It's once it switched from Direwolf to Sparky Pants, it was very much a change in, like, you know, game philosophy or whatever that word would be.
I wonder why the change, like, because they seem to, obviously they're always going to be very, you know, cordial in terms when they talk. Oh, we just decided to go in another direction. It had nothing to do with whatever. But it's a very curious thing to me.
Yeah, I don't know. Just, you know, different developers. They have different philosophies, I guess.
Well, that's what I mean. For one that was working, which would be, you know, Direwolf, to Sparky Pants, which was, I guess maybe the key is that it was they didn't like the direction it was going.
I ain't no telling. I have no idea what was going through them folks' head. I just know that they did a pretty good job, but they did put a bunch of, like, bullshit into this game.
Yeah.
But, you know, I still love the game. I'm not here to trash on it, obviously, but you know, it is interesting how this game had 2 lifespans, or really like 3 lifespans, and one of those and part of that was having different developers. So, we got to see the lifespan very much change for the whole direction. I'm trying to focus on the game.
My magnificent monster.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I will say, like, at least from the design perspective, like card design, I actually I didn't like it at first. I didn't like this particular layout, but it kind of grew on me, and I actually prefer it over the original. Like, I go back and watch like original games, like when everything had a very like distinct like border around it. It was very, very crisp and very. But I liked that initially, but then this a little more loose leaf thing that I think that was Sparky Pants initiated that. I came to like that, but you were.
Yeah, they did a lot of good. Don't get me wrong, a lot of the things they did were good. I'm not trying to trash on them completely. It's just.
Oh no.
I'm just talking about kind of the power creep of Tessel.
Yeah.
Because there was quite a bit of it, especially in the last few years. With the call dragons, like. At some point, like for example, control decks, at one point in Tessel's life, yeah, they did broken. There's Brahmin on 9. It always have. I don't know why that is, but it's just it always happens. But yeah, like control decks back in the day, I feel like they were a little more mindful. You had to really, really think about your plays a lot more.
Yeah.
Because if you had to extract your value out of your cards. For example, like whether or not you want to upgrade your Drain Vitality or your Soul Tear, like that was a really big decision point. Or when do I play this Hollow Death Priest? Or things like that. And I'm not saying that control is completely like brain dead now, but now it seems like the strategy is just like ramp as much as possible, play big cards, right?
Yeah.
And that's it. There's really nothing else to it other than that. That's why you see people play Spine of Elder's Blood. Like, nobody would have played that card back in the day, but now people are putting it in because these cards that are at the top end now are so strong that it's beneficial. Just get to them as quick as you can because you're just going to auto win the game. Like Aelid Guardian,
yeah.
That's just instant stabilization on a board. Like, not always, but a lot of times it just wins the game on the spot, and it's not. Oh, this is K Fluffy's deck, by the way. K Fluffy Banana Schwab deck.
Oh, the one we just saw?
Yeah, that was their expertise deck.
Oh, okay. Which, that's another one I belatedly thought about it, but that's actually probably one that the Namira's Shrine would be really good in as well, because it has typically has the action card that then creates daggers, or creates, like, what is it, not salvage, the
Oathman?
Huh?
Talking about the Oathman?
No, like Battle Mage Onslaught and that other Plunder. The cards that, like, you play it, that's one card, then it gives you 2 cards to play that, as long as you have the magic, you can play them. I think a Namira Shrine might, maybe not 3 of, but 1 or 2 copies of that actually might do well in an expertise deck.
Yeah, for sure. You could, yeah, and then you have the Oathman as well, which puts 2 0-cost cards in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Namira Shrine definitely is a, and you got Rapid Shots. You got Crown Quartermasters, Sentinel Reclaimer. I mean, there's a lot of ways to get Namira Shrine out of Guildsworn, but again, at some point, somebody wrote these rules on Tessel, like, you have to play like this. You can't play these cards, and people just don't even bother to try, which is kind of annoying. But
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think we would have seen a lot more, especially in the past few years, had the game not even necessarily didn't need, like, a breath of fresh air, but I think there were just a lot of, like you were saying, the state that the game was left in when it went away was very. It left the game in a precarious place where you had a lot of ways to abuse. A lot of ways to abuse it, so you had people not really needing or wanting to try other things, whereas if it was pretty much everything seemed relatively balanced and people are looking for ways to milk advantage, I think that's when you see a lot more creativity, a lot more people trying to be creative. But then there are people like me, we're just, at least in this game, I've yet to see how it works with Magic, but at least in this game, my deck building was mediocre at best. And that's with it being super easy, as you said, where you just got to throw stuff into a deck and it works. I managed to somehow not do that. So it does take a little bit, but
Yeah, but you purposely went out of your way to play like cards that nobody else played. Like you go out of your way to play Stampede Sentinel. Sword, you're not stupid. You know good and well that that card is not good, and you put it in your deck anyway, right? So, I have a Crucible Blacksmith. I have no idea what's in this deck. I don't. I mean, I kind of want to play this, but I don't know what I'm gonna draw off of it. So I'm just okay, whatever. I'm just gonna play the Gambler because I have, like I said, I don't know what's in here.
Is it one that you built and you just forgot, or is this another like collaboration?
Yeah, no, I know what the deck does, but I don't know exactly what's in it.
Oh, okay.
But this guy looks like he's playing just like a standard mid-battle mage deck, so this probably won't go well for me. But
well,
yeah, to your point about like you know, people not want to build certain decks, you know, it's good. You know, a lot of it is lack of content creation. You know, we had you and stuff, but I'm talking about like content creators who are like really good deck builders, like kind of showing the public like, here's what you do. These are some synergies you can build around. So I feel like a big part of the reason why Tesla kind of got, oh my god, I hate this card. A big reason why people got into a rut is that they didn't have any resources on who to, besides like Aros and, you know, different clans and stuff.
Right.
You know, there wasn't a lot of resources to go on YouTube and look up like, oh, you know, cool new, you know, Namir Shrine deck, you know, get lots of value, exclamation point, you know, clickbait title.
Right.
You know, that didn't exist, so people, how clear survivalist, okay, what, I cooked something with this. But yeah, people just would rather just, I don't know, play the same things they know that works that people played in the Master Series like 10 years ago, and well, it works, might as well keep playing it.
Yeah.
Or broken, and then like, I hate, like, Old Salty's Assault, I hate this card. I call it, I describe it, I hate Hit a Prophecy, of course. I describe it as aggro for noobs. That's how I call it, because it's so strong. Like, 5 mana and you get so many stats, but it's not even just that you get stats, you're also thinning your deck by 4 and you draw off the merchant. So it's essentially 5 mana, draw 5, put 4 bodies on the board. I just ugh.
Well, and
if I designed this card, yeah. Go ahead.
I was saying with Reflective Automaton for a deck like this, Alfeet Conjurer.
Yeah, and then it has synergies with that too, and the Woodhork Headhunter. So
yeah,
yeah, I've never been a big fan of the crab deck. You'll never see me run crabs, just because I don't think it's a. Because first of all, from a deck building perspective, just putting the crabs in your deck. What is that? That's 12. That's 15 of your 50 card slots available. So you talk about auto build. That's about as close to auto build as it gets. Like you've already filled up, like, you know, almost probably like 30% of your deck without having to consider anything.
Right.
Do I have lethal here? 3, 4, 5. I doubt it, but 5. That would be 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I'm way off lethal. But again, like how am I supposed to defend against this? This guy hit the crab assault, like.
dude, people have seen my stream. Trust me, profanity is not a problem. I mean,
yeah, but I know Banana Schwab might be watching. I can't have him getting on to me in the comments like he did Aros. You know?
Oh, right.
But this is a loss for sure, you know, and that's whatever. He got his little crab assault. But I mean, what can you do? What can you do? Just a stupid card. But whatever. Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm not hating on him. I just don't like that card. I think that card is very much a crutch, and I'm not a fan of it.
So, do you think, like, if you had a choice to like for a lot of people say, hey, like New Era, Allied Guardians, guaranteed nerf or change it somehow. Is Ultimate Assault a card that you would say would like if you were running things, that card needs to be changed, it needs to be removed, or do you say, look, it's not stupid for, I mean, it's stupid, but it's not broken, I just don't like it played, or do you think that it actually does fundamentally throw the balance off a little bit?
Well, yeah, because it creates, in my mind, it creates unfun gameplay, because if they curve into it or if they ring it out, a lot of times they just win they win the game on the spot, because there's not a lot of answers to it at its casting cost. Like, you have Hive Defender, you have Emperor's Blade, and other than that, there's really not a whole lot that answers it. So, and like I said, it's draw 5, essentially. Put 1 card in your hand, summon 4 creatures for 5 mana. So, yeah, that's my issue with it. Is not, yeah. It's just, to me, it creates unfun games that are very polarized. Like that game right there, I didn't play that game poorly.
Right.
But I lost because he summoned all that stuff on turn 5. Or 4 or whatever it was, and I don't know. I feel like he didn't earn that. He just because he put that broken card in his deck, he wins. So.
Well, and also he had like the Headhunter, like 2 of them.
Yeah, which is fine, but it's really the crabs, because he was able to find 2 Headhunters, but also the crabs thinned his deck by 4.
Right.
So that contributes to the fact that these Battle Mage decks can find their Alfiks, they can find their Headhunters, is because Salties is thinning their deck and making it easier for them to draw what they need, while also putting on a ton of pressure onto the board. I just do not like that. I don't like that card. I think it's bad from a design perspective. That's just my personal belief.
Sure.
I know that card is very popular. A lot of people love it.
So do you think it's still playable at a 7 cost?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I would design it. I don't pretend to know the answer, but
Okay.
I just know that in its current form, it creates some very boring gameplay for me at times.
Right. No, I was just trying to get a feel for, like, gone completely, or yeah, if as long as it's not being introduced as early as it is, then it's okay. But I mean, it sounds like overall you're just saying it has way too much value. It does too many things for your deck to really. For it to be, it shouldn't be something, unless you just want a game on the rails, it shouldn't be there, because it just does too much.
Yeah, and then like I said, it's so easy to build around it, because if you play a 50-card deck with crabs, once you put the crab cards in, you've already filled out 15 cards in the deck.
Yeah.
So, it just makes it easy, and then your whole strategy. I draw my crab card on turn 4 or 5, and I play it, and I win. I push this button, I win. I hate that. I'm not a fan. Now, if I was like a sweaty meta player who put nothing but like good value cards in my deck, yeah, the crabs wouldn't be that bad. But because I play these kind of off meta decks, that's why it's more oppressive to me. So if you were to ask someone like K Fluffy, do you think this card is balanced? He'll tell you no. According to him, Yagham's Workshop is the only card that's unbalanced. But to me, playing all these stupid decks, oh my god, I hate the crabs. They get on my nerves. They get on my nerves. This right here is a Stever deck.
Behold,
See if it goes.
I think that kind of taps in, I think, like a distinction, at least at this point. I mean, who knows? It may change for me a little bit, but like when you were talking about, I'll play cards that I know aren't necessarily good, but I'm trying to essentially do what players like you do, which is find cards that aren't, often played, or maybe that people haven't thought about, and then try to make something work with it. And then, but my natural instincts with that don't necessarily bring, above 50% win rate, like you were saying. Like, no matter what you play with, essentially, you're able to do that. And so I think that's one of the cool things about folks like you and A. Ross, who, I mean, you get doing a freaking Nixox combo, assassin. Like, there's a lot of you deck builders that will go out of your way to get off the beaten trail, but you're still able to keep it competitive. It may not be ultra competitive, it may not be the best, or the most optimized, but it still is viable. Whereas other folks we're kind of, it's more like in the dark. We're like, well, hey, I use a bunch of cards that I think would work together, but I never draw them together. And why is that? And you're like, well, you don't draw enough. You don't have enough draw in your deck. It's like, okay, well, I have more draw in my deck. Well, now you have too many of this card in there, and this is actually getting in the way of this. And it's like you can dissect it and figure out why it doesn't work. Whereas to me, it's like, well, on paper this should be gangbusters. You're like, no, on paper it sucks even worse than it does when you play it. The RNG helps you out a ton.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I don't think there's ever been any point during my time with this game where I've ever had like below 50% win rate. But you know, I also kind of fall. I mean, I'm kind of forced to play a lot of you know, kind of meta shells into my decks in order to compete. Like this one is a bad example. Obviously, you look at my hand; it's just a bunch of crap. But you know, but for some, you know, for some decks, some synergies, you know, you're kind of forced to play certain cards just to allow yourself the opportunity to survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and look, okay, so now we're gonna get the shrine going again. They said it's unplayable, Sword.
I know.
That's what they said.
I was guaranteed. That's why I never played it.
Yeah.
Experts who know said, don't play Namiri Shrine.
Yeah, it's unplayable garbage. It's tell me what to do. Alright. And look at that, I high rolled the mutation. So look at that, drawing. Just got my draw engine going, got my skeevers going. Things are good right now. I do not have the Skeevaton like rage impro combo going in this deck, so
is that
maybe I should add it.
Okay, so it's not a question of viability, you don't happen to have it.
Yeah, I didn't put it in this one. This wasn't enough space, but that is like a cool combo you can do. Okay, I cannot play 2 actions this turn, which kind of sucks. Can I play 4 cards? So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I can play 4. So I'm gonna trigger the shrine again. It's unplayable card, Sword. It's unplayable. Can't play this card.
I feel like an axe is being grinded here today, folks.
Yes, very much so. All these people who make these rules. Look at me. I played 2 games with this card, and I have procced it every single turn.
Yeah.
In both games. So.
Which, I mean, that does go to, I mean, because you have it in there, like, I guarantee, like, if I think maybe a lot of the people that would say that or echo that would be somebody like me who I would just be like, oh, let me put this card into my deck. And kind of, I think maybe, not contradictory to what you were saying earlier, but I think there are certain cards, at least in the game, that do require you to build around them or to build synergy into your deck with them, like Ring of Namir or Namir Shrine, because I could throw that into all of my decks, but as they are now, a lot of them wouldn't work because I don't have enough of the low-cost cards or discounted cards or ways to make them, you know, proc that. But I think your deck is designed, we're seeing so many cards at that lower cost or ways that draw other cards that make the shrine work, so you can't just shoehorn it into anything and that particular card will work.
Right, and you're about to see. I'm about to go off on this turn. So talk about synergy. You're about to see a lot of synergistic plays right now.
Okay.
Watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and now I'm drawing a Firebolt, and I'm gonna draw 2 cards from the Peddlers, and I'm gonna draw off the Shrine. So I'm gonna draw 3 more cards. Right.
Look at that.
Yeah, and this is the kind of thing you can do in this game if you don't just play boring mid-range cards in every deck. Right. I mean, it doesn't really matter now with the game dying, but you know.
Yeah. Well.
No point. Yeah.
I mean, there's 2 months, over 2 months left. 2 months and 2 weeks essentially, about 2.5 months. And wait.
Yeah.
Is there, well, 13. Well, 12 weeks, I think. Or no, we started off with 13 weeks, but I think we're down to week 11. So, yeah, I mean, there's still time left, and I mean, this is stuff that you can take over into other games. I mean, whether it's you know, Pokemon Pocket, say, or but now, and that's the other question. So because you know we are at where we're at now, based on what you've played before and your experience out there, what games are you looking at, or what games do you suggest to people who like Tessel? That you would say have not comparable, but something that you think somebody who is not just doing the nonsensical, I'm just going to play, a bunch of crabs or whatever. For people who enjoy playing, what kind of games do you think are out there for them?
The games that compare to Tesla, I suppose, would be like some kind of tempo-oriented game, which would be like Legends of Runeterra or Magic the Gathering. I don't know. I have gone to Marvel's. Pokemon Pocket is pretty good. It's very free to play. It's kind of gotten boring to me though. But yeah, I'm more into the Marvel Snap now. But Marvel Snap is not comparable to Tessel at all, except for the move mechanic in both games is very, very similar, and they have multiple lanes is very similar. But as far as playing like a tempo game where it's Magic the Gathering maybe, or Legends of Runeterra, Hearthstone. Okay. I never played Hearthstone, but Tessel for a long time was called a Hearthstone ripoff. So apparently they're very similar. So that would be another one.
Which is interesting because I have played it. I played it a little bit before I played this, and I have watched it since. I mean the different. I mean the lane changes, or the lanes, the different. Your shadow and field, coupled with prophecies. That to me just transforms. It makes it like completely different from Hearthstone. Like everything that you do is different. I'm still having to get out of the mindset. The little bit that I played Magic the Gathering, trying to get out of the mindset of like, oh, if I let them hit my face, I can draw a card. It's like, no, there's no longer a benefit to getting punched in the face. Like, you don't want them to do that. I mean, there may be some decks that, are like, I don't know, sadistic or, masochistic. When you take damage, your cards get stronger or something. Like, there's got to be a card out there that does that. But, and on the whole, there's no benefit. Whereas here, you're kind of, there is that whole dynamic of, okay, let him hit me in the face. Do I want to try to heal a little bit? Do I let them do that? How far do I let them push me? How much do I want to push? Whereas Hearthstone, none of that exists. If you've got an aggro deck, your only downside is what your opponent throws on the board. Whereas here, you've got to worry about prophecies and rune breaks and everything.
Yeah, there's no game out there that is exactly like Tessel, but
right.
You kind of asked me what games are similar.
Well, sorry, sorry, that was a bit of a miss. Because I know you'd mentioned, like, I wanted to hear you talk about like Pokemon Pocket and the games that you've gravitated towards personally, having played this. And I'm just not saying that everybody will, but it was more of that kind of thing. Like, for somebody who's played this game and going, hey, what's another CCG out there? Like, pretty much just what your preference is, what you found joy in that genre. And so it doesn't have to be like a Tesla clone or anything close to it. Because I don't think Magic the Gathering is close to this at all, to be honest. I think it's vastly different. But I still like it. Well, at least at the outset, I'm still getting a lot of noon moments that I'm not a big fan of. But so your particular brand O card. I mean, you said you're not a big fan of the current iteration of Yu-Gi-Oh. Is that older version that you first started playing? Was that still around, or?
I don't know, maybe. There's probably some nerd out there who still plays, different, the format that they like. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is very much unlike any other game I've ever played. It is just... It's a mess. It's fun sometimes, but it is very convoluted. But yeah, as far as games, I don't know. I mean, Magic the Gathering and Tessel, yeah, they're not super comparable, but they are both kind of like tempo games, which is, kind of makes them a little similar.
And so for those who are probably kind of like, I have a general sense when you say tempo games, like so versus like, So when you say tempo, what exactly do you mean?
Tempo just kind of means like the pace in which your deck plays. So, okay, he's disconnecting before I can play my Painted World.
You shackled his hand of Dagoth. I mean, that's not cool.
Yeah, well, that's what he gets. Look at the cards he's running. He totally net decked this, so
Oh, I know, yeah.
Get destroyed. I don't care. Anyway, tempo is really it's like the pace in which you play with. So like a mid-range deck, for example, you can kind of expect that your tempo is going to be, I'm going to play 2 or 3 cards a turn. Or in the early game, I'm going to play 1 card a turn. In the mid game, I'm going to play 2 or 3 cards a turn. Late game, I might play a little more bombs, but I'm still going to be playing, 2, 3 cards a turn. But it's also like, when I say pace, I mean, like, what is my general game plan? So instead of, there are going to be many times with a mid-range deck where you can just drop your entire hand on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll be easy to do that. But when you look at your deck and you think about your strategy, you're like, okay, well, I can play the late game with this deck, so maybe it's not ideal for me to drop my whole hand right now because I can continue to outvalue this guy. And that's I think, and that's kind of what the tempo is. So at least in my mind, I'm not some kind of card game guru who thinks about, card game strategy and game theory and all that, but
No,
yeah, tempo is just like the pace in which you want your deck to play. How often you want to be hitting runes, things like that. So like the Necrom Assassin I was talking about earlier, how it plays different strategies. Well, that means it can play with different tempos. So if I'm up against an aggro deck, I might play a little more defensive, but I'm gonna be playing a lot of my cards out, a lot sooner.
Right.
Whereas, with this guy's gone, so I guess I'll just show this off. This is dual color painted world.
Okay, this is the one that you were like, I don't remember what cards go where.
Yeah, I haven't played this deck in forever. I have no idea what's in it, but it worked. So I actually have a pretty good
actually looks really good as a premium. I thought it was kind of meh as a regular card, but in premium the colors really sparkle.
Yeah, I really like it. It's got like a really cool oily. It's like oil canvas like kind of art style, which I really like.
Yeah, it's almost a Van Gogh.
All right, let
So
me see.
I guess an extra step of clarity, if it comes to CCGs, what would be an example of a CCG that's not like a tempo oriented? Is that like a Marvel Snap is not necessarily a tempo deal?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some tempo in Marvel Snap, but it's not like it's a tempo game, but there's no battle phase. So even though you're kind of tempoing stats onto the board, you're not actually like protecting your creatures really, or you're not removing their creatures. There are cards that do that, but they're very situational. Like there's not a lot of removal in that game at all, and yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, but still, in Marvel Snap, you're still gonna want to. When you build your deck, you're gonna want to flesh your curve out to the point where you want to play a certain amount of cards every turn, and that's kind of tempo. But like I said, there's no battle phase, there's no removal of the board, so it's not exactly the same. It's very much different, and there's a lot of RNG effects. So, it's very easy for your plan to get ruined very fast by a bad location or your opponent getting some good. I don't know. I really like it though.
Yeah. So what do you think is appeals? Well, good.
Well, it's like poker, kind of like when it's called Marvel Snap, because when you snap, what you're basically doing, you're doubling the stakes of the game. So once you feel like you're in there's only 6 turns, right? So once you get to the point where you feel like, okay, I'm winning, I feel good about this, and you'll double the stakes. So it's like you're raising in poker.
Okay.
But you want to snap before the turn finishes. So in that game, both cards reveal at the same time. So both players play their card, and then there's priority. Like whoever's winning has priority. Their cards will flip first, and but cards are revealed basically at the same time. So when you snap, what you're saying is, I'm winning right now. I'm confident in my future plays, and I'm confident that your plays aren't going to beat mine, without really knowing what you're going to play.
Right.
So, I mean, there's some metagame knowledge, obviously. You see deck, and okay, this deck runs this, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, so that's really where the skill intensive part of Marvel Snap comes in, is knowing when to snap, knowing when to retreat, because you can retreat as well. So
Oh,
you just
okay.
want to get max value, but I'm not really into all that. I don't really try to rank up too much. I make it to infinite, and then that's it. I'm not. It's just like in Tessel, like, because I don't want to commit a ton of time on the game, you know.
Right.
Like in this game or any card game, you have to play a lot of games to get high rank, and I just don't feel like it's worth the time for
Yeah.
me, personally. Um,
That said, you did, it's as we talked about before.
I
I mean,
guess
you
I should
did.
play an arena. I guess I'll play a game, a gauntlet game. Let's see if we can actually
Nice.
find a queue, though.
And just for those watching here, this is the Gauntlet of Chaos. CcityT0ker has taken over the weekend's event. Only cards from the core set, Madhouse, and Isle of Madness can be used.
Yeah, I'm running an Altar of Despair deck, which is kind of, I mean, it's kind of BS because in this gauntlet there's not a lot of support removal, so I'm kind of like abusing the system, but it works really well at the surplus lane. Surplus is whenever you put a card here, reduce cost of a card in your hand by 1. So that works really well with Altar of Despair because you can kind of cycle a lot of cards. And you can also get out early altars if you're lucky enough to discount it. But it looks like you can't, they're not going to come into me. Because obviously, I think there's a lot less people playing the game now. A lot.
Yeah.
Since the news broke, I think a lot of people got added to it. So.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, which I found peculiar. People. I understand it, but I guess I didn't automatically go there. People that were saying, "Hey, we've spent money on this game, and now it's no longer here." But it's like I'm like, oh, well, I mean, that's not an unfair point, but I didn't automatically go there, even though I have spent money on the game. I feel like we live in a time, this isn't like the old school gaming world where you have physical copies of the games and you can actually play them whenever you want. I feel like we're always at the whims of streaming services. I mean, you go on Netflix and there's a series you love and it might not be there next week because they decided to take it off. Like, it's still Netflix is still there, but you're also paying monthly for it. So I don't know. It was interesting that a lot of people, like you said, did get ticked off and just bail, whereas a lot of the sentiment that we're getting from a lot of the content creators especially and other players is let's use the time that we have. Let's make the most of it.
What have we here?
Yeah, that's how I am. I've spent about $250 on this game.
Whew.
Over the years. Not all at once, but just over the years. But I'm not mad about it. I feel like I got my money's worth, and
Right.
I can understand why people are mad. But I don't think it does any good to feel angry. Like, just, anger is a very terrible emotion, right? So I could be mad about it. It's not going to change. The game is still going to be gone on January 3rd. I can be as mad as I want. All I'm doing is shortening my own life. Like, why am I going to stress about something like that when it's out of my control? That's the way I see it. So my whole goal is just to enjoy the game for, these last few months and, not worry so much about, the moral implications of whether or not this is morally right by Bethesda or anything like that. Like, it's not going to change anything. So why bother? That's the way I feel. And people might say, well, that's you're giving up. You're giving up. Well, it's reality.
Right.
The game is over.
Well, I think so. Maybe perhaps not in Tesla, but I think the exception for me and something like that is sometimes, like you can have somebody, and I've talked about this before. You can have somebody who's like in an abusive relationship, and they keep putting up with it, but eventually something happens where they get angry enough, and anger will prompt you to do things that you normally would be either too shy, too timid, too reluctant to do. And so I think maybe not in a Tesla situation, but like it's a similar but obviously different, where somebody gets angry enough and they say, you know what, I don't think it's right. The company should be, I'm not saying this should be done, but the company should be allowed, once they've accepted payment, unless they're willing to refund that, to to go to a game. And so but that anger doesn't make them get online and go, mad, I'm mad. That prompts them to put some money down, go to a lawyer and say, hey, do we have a case, go into litigation, so that in the future, companies are still have to guarantee a measure of playability or functionality in the game, even if that they don't want to support the game. It still has to be on a server somewhere, something like that. I think if there's a functionality that dovetails with it, then it's not a problem. But like you're saying, if you go, look, there's nothing that can be done or reasonably done by getting angry, it's not going to inspire me or provoke me to do something that actually might benefit either myself, the community, or anything else, then it's like grinding your teeth about it isn't really going to do a whole heck of a lot of it's more detrimental than it is good for you.
Yeah. But I don't know, apparently from what I've read, they have different kind of like laws in Europe. I keep seeing this EULA. I don't know what that stands for, but I keep seeing this referenced. And apparently there's different laws over there that kind of protect their investments more than here in the States. So maybe it is different over there. Maybe they do have a chance to kind of make something happen, but yeah, I'm just not going to concern myself with it. Personally, because I don't think that I'm gonna, I'm not going to do anything. And I did not draw the altar this game.
That's true. So well, you say this is an altar deck. I didn't see it, so it's effective. It's going very well.
Yeah, I probably should have won that turn, but I'm just gonna do this, just so that maybe I can play something that's what I built the deck around. Which I don't know if I had lethal. I didn't even calculate it, but. Yeah, you see I got the Eager Torturers and the Swift Strikes. That's ideally I would get a lot of altar triggers. I'd be able to get that up really big and then Swift Strike for the win.
Well, I will say that probably goes down in history for me as maybe the second time I've ever seen Nakrim hit the board, like in an actual game. That's one of the cards I think that got nerfed that just nobody touched, aside from you. Like you're the first person I see to play that.
I'm not the only. There are definitely not very many people. Really, I think in this game, there's really, in my opinion, there's not a lot of players who really break the mold. There's a lot. There's a few, but there's not but at the top of the ladder, there's not a lot of players who break the mold. You have A-Ross, you have like K Fluffy, you have Shake It Baby. But Shake It Baby's not on top of the ladder ever. But a lot of those players at the top of the ladder, they just play like mid-battle mage, same deck that's been around since 2011.
Right.
That's an exaggeration. 2014, whatever. No, that's not right either. 2017, man, I am getting old. I am losing track of these years. 2017, 2018. But yeah, I think it's I think it's good to break the mold in this game because it's how you get notoriety. Like me, I never considered myself like an elite Tessel player. It wasn't until people started spectating me and saying, "Man, these things you're doing are really cool."
Yeah.
You might be one of the best, and I was like, I don't think so. And I think A-Ross is kind of the same thing. Like, people watch him, they see him do all these cool things, and they're like, "Holy crap, this guy really knows what he's doing."
Yeah.
So to me, that's always been the way I look at it. Like when it comes to like ranking players or whatever, like rank and to me in this game means absolutely nothing. Like if you're just playing the game and you're playing like a meta sweat deck that everybody has prior knowledge to, and you're just kind of hounding over the game, playing it, yeah, of course you're gonna have high rank because mathematically your deck is going to draw better on average than your opponent's deck. So of course you're going to win most of your games. But the players who can like break the mold, not listen to what everybody else says and build things that are unique, I think that's the true indicator, which is why I always say like K Fluffy's one of the best I've ever seen. And just because he plays like these weird cards, like his decks are effective, but he's not just putting the same crap that everybody else is playing. He's playing weird cards and finding value off of them. Katana FR is another great example. He is amazing. And he plays this weird stuff. But he does it really well. You know, Shake It Baby, A-Ross, these other guys. So that's... I don't even know how I got onto this, why I'm talking about this, but
Just
whatever.
natural ebb and flow of a conversation, that's all.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to rant a lot. Or not rant, but like ramble. So...
Which is
sometimes
why
I
you
think,
should be
well,
streaming, Joe. You should have been streaming this whole time, Dad, because that's what we need. People that can talk about the game and everything else, and yeah, you know, make it entertaining even in the down times.
I streamed a couple times.
Did you really?
But yeah, it's not really. I don't know. I don't think it's really. My computer's not the best computer. It's kind of rough on the computer to stream, so.
Oh, gotcha. Yep, I understand that.
You know, I don't want to overheat my computer. And plus, people spectate me in the game anyway, so anyone who wants to watch, they're always welcome. I don't ever kick anybody off or anything like that. So.
Right. Yeah, I remember you. Like one of my fonder memories, especially initially or earlier on when I first came back, was having conversations with you. Like you'd be there. Like I would be trying. I think it was the first time I was trying to get to Legend or something. I don't remember the exact scenario, but like you were just. I mean, it was like you were giving advice, but you were also just like I'm sitting there going, you know, going off and how pissed off I am about it. Like it happens, man. Like yeah, no, I hear you. It kind of sucks, but just having that kind of like just quiet support. You know, in the midst of great adversity or frustration, was a very big help. And we had some really good conversations there. Like we're playing, like half of it's playing the game and half of it's talking about the game and then life. So that was a true great bonding experience. I found that I enjoyed the heck out of. Well, more so that I don't even remember the games, but I remember the conversations.
But yeah, I mean. Absolutely. I mean, the community aspect of Tesla is one of the best parts of it, but yeah, you have to remind yourself that not everything in this game is within your control, right? Like,
yeah.
You're not going to win every game. It's not possible. Like this game right here, I'm playing a singleton deck, and I just did not draw what I need, right? So I'm going to lose. It's fine. Doesn't mean that the game is bad. It doesn't mean that I'm bad. It just means that, you know, he drew good. So, and I drew kind of poorly, but I could still maybe live here. I have to get rid of this though.
Yeah.
So if I can somehow, by some miracle, get this land off into a siege, maybe I have a chance. But this is Dagoth Singleton, so the siege is not nearly as impactful as like the Mushroom Tower thing. But
right.
Maybe I can survive. I don't know. He got off to a really good start, but I, you know, I was able to kind of stabilize the board a little bit here. Unfortunately, I don't have any meaningful interaction in my hand as far as like removing threats or guarding up, so
you will die at my
might not be good. So yeah, he's just gonna stack Shadow and probably win here. But if I can draw something good, Thorana is not it. I need like a Shadow Shift or something.
Oh yeah. For sure. Oh.
Okay, Spinner works. Spinner definitely works. So I can clear this,
Keep your distance.
clear this because it's a Spinner. I'm still kind of in trouble here, right? Because he can just hide in the shadows, and I really don't have any way to interact with him. This is the problem with singleton decks.
I greet oblivion.
Oh goodness gracious!
Yeah, all I need like a Fell the Mighty, or I need a guard. Yeah, I got nothing. I don't think there's any zero cost in my. Yeah, this is definitely a loss. Is it? I can draw a Harpy off of this, maybe.
My time is precious.
Nope.
I
That's
mean, in
okay.
theory, you could have, but
He got lucky. That's the way I see it.
yeah. I mean, if you talk about. I think Invade is the Uber Mud Crab thing. The entire, instead of it just being a card or two, it's even in a 75 card deck, probably half your deck is just ridiculous synergy that you don't even have to think about playing. I play this card, it does things for me. But
yeah, it definitely can go off very fast, and snowball in kind of an unfair way at times. But that game, I definitely had a chance. If I was playing like a real deck and not a singleton deck, I probably could have stabilized that just because I was able to clear his gate.
Right.
But at the end, I just didn't have the guards I needed to save myself out of that shadow lane.
Now, let me
So
ask
hopefully,
you, okay.
go ahead. I'll say I would love to get a good game off with this deck because this is one of my favorite decks ever.
And what is the theme or the?
I'll whip them into shape.
Oh, this is a
idea?
singleton Dagoth. I mean, I'm very much a fan of Justin Larson, and this was like one of his decks that he used to run. So that's kind of when I first started playing it, because he loved singleton Dagoth, and I was like, well, I want to try that. So I started using it, and I very, very quickly fell in love with it, especially when I hit like big Dagoth errors in tournaments and stuff. Oh, good times. And then, then I had that game with Kevin in the tournament as well, where I was able to like go crazy with Merrick and Hrothgar Forge and stuff. I don't know. I just love this deck. It's so fun. I keep talking about like how Tesla players, they only want to play with strong. They only care about winning. And you see that like Singleton, even in Singleton is the most laid back, chill, relaxed deck in the game, and Tesla players still found a way to make it sweaty by adding the Mushroom Tower. And now, like, you don't even see Singleton in anything other than purple, and it's like, why do you have to make everything sweaty? Not everything is about winning. It's not that serious.
Right. Well, I should say, like, I would say it's for me, it's rewarding to win when you feel like you earned it. Like winning just to get the W, that doesn't feel like the win. It would be like, I mean, I don't know. That's why I don't understand when people cheat. Like, even in sports, athletics, when people cheat and they win, like you go back and watch like a football or basketball game, you see like the amount of times that people got away with stuff and how impactful it was on the game. It's like, how do you feel like you're actually the champ if you went outside the boundaries, the boundaries of the game? When it's digital, you really can't cheat. I mean, unless you've got like hacks or something, but in general, you're not going to be cheating. But it's like, if you just play an auto, oh, what a prophecy that was.
Right, I needed that.
Gravy. But like, I don't.
Card.
Yeah.
What I call that. That's one of those cards that he likes to run that I stole from him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. The Mushroom Tower Singleton stuff is also really fun, so I'm not going to say it's completely sweaty. I mean, that's a fun combo, right?
Right.
But it's like, it came to the point where that's the only Singleton deck you see on the ladder. It's like, oh my god, people, like, play something else. Like, I understand you like this, but you can put Singleton in different classes. You don't have to rely on this busted Mushroom Tower combo, like. But I don't know, we got to a point after the game died where I feel like a lot of the casual players left, and we were just left with like nothing but sweats. And I talk about this all the time on Discord, like, complain would probably be a better word for it, but yeah, I mean, you see in this video, I'm using all sorts of synergies and weird stuff, and I'm having some decent success. You don't have to play.
Well, that's why I like Singleton. I mean, I'm not saying that I play it all that much, but I like the fact that you get to see cards, especially if it's 100 cards, but even if it's just 75, like there's typically going to be cards in there that you don't typically see unless you're playing in a gauntlet or something, or not a gauntlet, but like in a versus where it's a draft format, because they're just they don't get a lot of love. People are playing the top optimized stuff. Whereas a Singleton kind of makes you include a few cards at least that maybe you don't see a lot of.
Yeah, Singleton's a great archetype. I really love it, and I do love that in this what you're talking about. It does force you kind of to play different cards. Another thing, I love Arena as well, because Arena also forces your hand. Like, you have to, you have to play cards that you might not be comfortable with, because that's just what you're given. So yeah, I really like the formats in this game that force you to think outside the box. And Singleton does a good job at that. It forces you to play things that you might not be super comfortable with, which I think is good for the game.
Yeah.
Can I survive here? How many Crusaders Assaults has he drawn? 2. That's my luck, right? They always draw multiple of them when they're playing against me. What do I do here? I think I need to remove this. And I think I need to remove this. Next turn, I'm probably going to hope to Dragon Priest Mask on this Mordecai. I really need this guy to quit drawing cards, though. He's drawn, like, all his... the 2 Crusaders Assaults. Oh my god. This game, it has a way, right, of just... I mean, he's drawn, that's just... This is one of the frustrating things about going against aggro decks, is if they keep drawing like this, there's not a lot you can do. Can I survive here? So he's got 10, 11, 12.
Well, you're gonna
this will block. This will only block 2 damage, right? Because he's gonna swing into the Prankster Mage with the Orc. Well, actually, it blocks 4 damage if he does that because it decreases these 2. And then I think I can. I think I Tilvos here, which will block even more off my face. And then with the idea that he's gonna, I don't know what he's gonna swing into this Prankster Mage, so I'm just gonna curse this, just to get as much damage off the board as I can.
Right.
Hopefully protect my face just a little bit. I really, really, really need to find some drain. But with my luck, he probably has a silence effect with the way he's only got 2 cards in hand, so I'm sure one of them.
That's the worst part. Like, to me, if my opponent has, okay, there you go. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, so this was just, again, just perfect draw. He drew both his assaults. Drew both his assaults. Drew all 3 Crusaders. Like, I mean, what? There's nothing I can do in that game.
Yeah.
So.
See, and that's one of the things I like about you, Joe. You're really chill. Like, obviously, you've seen how I react to that kind of stuff, which is not chill. But your default seems to be chill. Like, just you're like even like I don't even know, like, when I read your stuff, I don't even think you put exclamation points in your, like, in the Discord. Like, you're just very mellow. It's like, oh man, sweaty decks, sweaty decks. Or I'm like, motherfucker, sweaty decks are so sweaty. I'm frothing at the mouth, and you're just like, yeah, it totally sucks. What are you gonna do? Move on. Which that's the mentality I think you need.
What was the point? Like, that game, yeah, I had some control over the outcome, but at the end of the day, like, he drew both his Crusaders. He drew 2 Crusaders Assaults, and he drew 3 East March Crusaders.
Yeah.
Right? Like, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
Like, that's tough. So that's just the way it goes sometimes. Let me see what else I want to play. I actually need to go soon, so we're gonna have to wrap this up because I have some things I have to do today. I feel like we've been playing. I feel like I've been playing for a while. How long have we been going? About an hour?
About an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah. Wow, this is gonna be a long video. Okay, yeah, we should probably wrap this up.
Okay.
What should I play as my last? I feel like I've lost like the last few games, so I would like to go out on a win, but if I don't, whatever. I love this deck. I don't know why I haven't. Yeah, this is my Crystal Tower Crafter deck.
Oh, okay.
We have to hope that I run into an aggro deck. If I run into a control deck, I'm probably screwed. But we just gotta hope for red, yellow, and green colors. We don't want to see anything purple, right? Just leave no purple in this next game, please. Okay, we got Mage. Not the best, but at least it's not Tilvani.
Yeah, no purple. Yeah, yeah.
Is this the same guy I played earlier? I think it might be.
Well, you had 2. Yeah, I remember you had 2 different ones at the beginning. I don't recognize that name, but we've seen at least 2 mages today, which is kind of, and neither one of them were invade, which is interesting. And well,
right. Yeah, I feel like the players I see on the ladder are not people I've seen before. That's what gives me the idea that a lot of people have quit. And we're also seeing like a month ago, you get on a ladder, you know what you would find? Conscription Telvanni, you would find the same aggro decks, you would find, Ebonheart, Slay, it would just goblins, it would just be the same stuff you normally see. Like, see, this guy is playing like a mono blue mage deck, which mono blue's popular, but you don't always see it in mage. So
Yeah.
I very much appreciate that. I am also playing a mono blue mage deck, so very interesting.
We're
gonna see. Yeah, I imagine this guy's probably running like the Alfie Conjurers and things like that, so his deck is probably better than mine, but we'll see what happens.
I have you now.
Now, let me ask you, because again, you are a deck builder / off meta deck builder. How do you know? Because I know you would give very quick words of wisdom when I was playing certain decks. You'd be like, oh, your curve is you would say the most important thing is to curve out, is to have your curve the way you want it to be. But like if you're building a deck and you've got the fundamentals, the things that the wisdom says you need to have in order for this deck to be functional. How do you know when your deck is not working, and how you're suffering because of RNG or high rolls or things like that? How do you, in other words, so you don't bail on a deck? Like if somebody's out there and they're trying to create a new deck and they've done all the stuff conventional wisdom dictates that they do, how will they know, or what's the way to tell that they're onto something and they just had a run of bad luck, or they may need to make some tweaks, or that they're just way off base and this deck is never going to work viably?
Well, you got to practice with the deck. You play the deck, and you have to keep some things in mind, like how am I drawing? How is my average? What does my average draw look like? Am I drawing into the things that I want to draw into, or am I kind of just like, drawing a bunch of cards that are just kind of like not working? And then you have to keep in mind your opponent's draw. So if you're playing this comes with metagame knowledge. So, for example, that last Crusader game,
Are you listening to me?
I know that my opponent drew very well, and the reason I know that is because if I played Crusader tokens and I drew 2 Crusaders Assaults and East March Crusaders, I know that I would be very hard to beat, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I lost the game, but at the same time, it's like, okay, well, he had like the ideal draw, so you can't really take it. You can't really say that the deck is bad because I lost like that. But when you're optimizing your deck for competitive, you certainly want to keep things like that in mind. You want to keep other meta decks in mind, like how can I answer this deck, or what's my matchup looking like into this? Which cards are going to help me with this? So as you play test a deck, you want to see which matchups you're strong against, which ones you're good against. And if you're strong against certain decks, or if you're weak against certain decks, then you can go in and add cards that'll help you with that matchup. Like, for example, I came into this game and I said, well, I really hope I don't run into Control. That's because Control is not a very good matchup for this deck. I know that just from repetition and playing it and trying it. You just have to play, and you have to be mindful of what's going on. You pay attention. That's how you get better. I was good at this game pretty much from day one, but I wasn't as good as I am now. There's a lot of practice that went into this, I had to learn how to play the game.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a lot to consider. It really varies from deck to deck. It's really hard. There's my Crystal Tower Crafter. 20 hours too late, but whatever, man.
I would say that was about as efficient as an aggro deck right there.
But yeah, I think the most important, you just want to see identify what your deck is weak against, and then, try to fix those weaknesses, or pay attention to how you're drawing. So if you have like a combo deck like this Crystal Tower Crafter deck, like this first start, I wasn't running the Cunning Allies, right? I was just running, I wasn't running it in the mono blue Cunning Ally thing. And what I found over time is that a lot of times I didn't have enough actions to facilitate my strategy. So then that's when I was like, well, how can I put more actions in this deck so I can get more stuff out of my tower crafter, out of my shimmering peddler? And I was like, well, if I put the cunning allies in, now I have 3 more actions to play with, which really helps a lot with the overall consistency with the deck. So things like that, you know, I mean, I could go on and on about this for a long time. There's so much to unpack here, but I think the main things is identifying your weaknesses, what you're weak against, and knowing that what kind of draws I can expect. You know, if your strategy is to curve out, you know, are you curving out with cards that are putting on appropriate pressure? You know, because if, you know, Aldveloth the Assassin, for example, that's a great card, but it doesn't put a lot of pressure on the opponent's face. So there may be some decks where you want to put more early game pressure on. So you might play like, I don't know, what's a big, chunky 2 cost? Like Mournhold Trader, right? So you just got to keep things like that in mind. Is there any other questions you have for me? I feel like a lot of this was just me talking and not a lot of the questions, but...
Well, that's the point. It's Spotlight. Like, Spotlight doesn't mean you have to answer my questions. It's I ask questions to get people to talk. And so if you're talking, which you did, that's fewer questions I have to ask because there's really nothing. I mean, it's all about like, hey, just focusing. So it's like, hey, if we, you know, like some people, we talked about, you know, a little bit more of their background with it, and so, but I think we covered like most of the things that typically a Spotlight does. You just kind of brought it up organically. So I think you did a swell job, sir. A swell job.
All right, well, this was fun. I look forward to looking back at this, and I want to hear what my voice sounds like on YouTube. You know, I feel like I'm gonna be kind of self-conscious about it, but we'll see.
Well, maybe I'll just add a chipmunk effect to it, just for posterity, so that everybody, when you look back, it's like, well, so here's the thing I like to do.
I reckon that'll be fine. Why not?
Right.
That's probably what a lot of people in this game think I sound like anyway. Here comes this CcityT0ker with his opium crystal tower crafter deck. He probably does sound like a chipmunk.
Well, no, honestly, I think maybe before, because it took me a second. I'm not in with the hip lingo of the time, so it took me. But when I finally realized CcityT0ker, oh, that's the only question I have. Etymology of CcityT0ker. What I think you told me is C is the name of like the first letter of the city you were born in or something. Where did that name come from?
Yeah, like, okay, so I went through a phase. You remember back in the 90s when people would just throw city or town on it, like H-Town, C-City, right? The name of the town I grew up in starts with a C.
Gotcha.
So we called it C-City. And then Toker, because I used to smoke a lot of weed. I still smoke weed, but not, you know, there are times where I quit smoking weed, you know, if I have to take a drug test or, you know, things like that. But
right.
You know, weed's not, but back in the day, I was a big time weed head. Now I'm just only like a moderate weed head. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's just CcityT0ker, right? That's right. CcityT0ker. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Well, but yeah, I gotta go though. I got some things I gotta do.
Yep.
I'm actually running late, but it's okay. It's completely fine. But yeah, I still got to shower. And I gotta get ready, and I gotta go do these things. Thank you for having me. I appreciate this. I feel like time flew doing this. I feel like this conversation was so free-flowing and easy that time got away from me. So yeah, I do need to go. So I'm just gonna go ahead and drop off, and I guess whatever you gotta do for your closing, go ahead or whatever. But yeah, I am running late, so thank you again for having me. This was a lot of fun, and I guess I'll see you later.
Sounds great, Joe. Thanks so much. Take care.
All right, later, man.
All right, folks, that was Joe /CcityT0ker. And yeah, just a very, at least in the community that I've been a part of, in the circulation there, like everybody knows Joe. And, you know, very active in Discord, both with, you know, bringing things to the table in terms of, you know, issues, concerns, always happy to provide deck lists for folks. It's been very, very helpful to the community in general, a well-established name. And as I said, finding that balance between staying competitive to a degree, maybe not the most optimized, but he's able to stay competitive, play decks that are going to win, at least above a 50% win rate, but that also try to plumb the depths of Tessel and not just play, walk down the beaten path. And so I think obviously he took some inspiration from Justin Larson, who was known for doing that at the outset. So it was a pleasure to have you on, Joe. I know you can't hear this. Maybe you'll hear it when you watch the playback. But it's been a pleasure having you. It was great. I love getting, even if it's not faces, getting names, getting a voice with people in the community, hearing their insight, hearing their wisdom, how they process the game, how they process games themselves, and then their overall view of it. Joseph, thank you so much. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, keep playing.